Today, I'm going to be exploring the area around Freedom Plaza and moving through the surrounding neighborhood towards Kip Philosopher Academy using Google Maps. I'm going to start by placing my icon on Freedom Plaza. This is part of the larger redevelopment housing program. The plaza itself is a major retail center with stores, restaurants, and community spaces designed to serve residents and attract investments in this area. The shopping center has grocery stores like Smart and Final, fitness centers like Blink Gym, and national retail brands like Nike, which are intended to bring jobs and services to the community. So, as I move towards the housing area of the Jordan Downs, we can see new buildings like the ones presented here that are part of a large redevelopment plan. The Housing Authority of Los Angeles has been rebuilding the neighborhood in phases with mixed income housing, parks, and community facilities, replacing older public low income housing that was built in the mid 20th century. So, this is the route that I take every day or every morning for work, I should say. One of the newer green spaces that is being added is the Freedom Tree Park, which we will be coming up on shortly. It is a community park with open lawns, trees, and spaces for recreation. These types of projects are often presented as community improvements because they create healthier environments and gathering spaces for residents. However, when we look at the history of this neighborhood, we have to understand why communities like Watts were originally segregated and underinvested in the first place. In the 1930s, the US government passed the National Act of 1934, which helped create programs that expanded home ownership, but also allowed banks to evaluate neighborhoods based on perceived financial risk. And this is a neighborhood that was perceived as hazardous. So right here we can see they're building a park. To carry this out, the government created the Homeowners Loan Corporation, which produced maps that labeled many minority neighborhoods as high risk. This practice became known as redlining, and it prevented Black families from getting home loans and investments in their communities. So right here, you can see they are still rebuilding some apartments as they are currently knocking down this old building, which is the Jordan Downs. You see a basketball court here, which looks like a playground. Based on this redlining, neighborhoods like Watts received far less investments for decades. Over this time, this led to poverty, deteriorating housing conditions, and now many decades later in the same area, I'm going to take a left here. The same areas are being redeveloped with new housing, retail centers, and parks. So right now I'm going to be showing a garden that has been part of the redevelopment plan. When we look at Freedom Plaza and the new development around Jordan Downs today, we see how the complicated effects of this change are affecting our students. On one hand, redevelopment brings new jobs, housing, and green spaces like the one provided here. It's a beautiful garden. On the other hand, redevelopment can also push out longtime residents, which is why many scholars and community members describe this process as gentrification. So finally, as we move over to KIPP philosophers, which I did pass up, we can see how education institutions are also part of neighborhood change. Schools like this often emerge alongside redevelopment projects and new investments in the community. Understanding the history from redlining under the Act to the redevelopment of Jordan Downs today helps us see how new policy decisions from the past still shape neighborhoods and educational opportunities today. So I did conduct two interviews. I want to show the interview questions that I've asked one KPA staff member. I'm going to pull them up. I took a summary because I couldn't record the audio. I asked her how would she describe the neighborhood around the school. She described it as family oriented. I asked her some positive things about the community that people might not know. She talks about how the community is very inclusive and everybody knows everyone and is very protective of each other. She said that the community has also shown a lot of support when it comes to providing new experiences to the younger generation, like golf, art courses, early athletic development, and so much more. I asked her what are some challenges that families or students in this neighborhood face. She said, which I second, this challenges faced by the families of the students in this neighborhood include homelessness, violence, limited access to fresh food, and limited access to clean clothes and overcrowded living. I asked her what role do she think that schools play in supporting the community. She believes that school plays a big role in providing sustainable living resources to the families in the community, providing students with their own safe place. And a lot of students facing instability or abuse can see school as their constant safe space. So, the last two questions I asked were what were some common issues that young people in this community experience? And she believes that most young people in this community experience peer pressure, overload of responsibility at home, and maintaining a healthy school life balance. The last question she answered was about the advice she would give teachers working in the community. She said that she would advise teachers working in this community to always lead with grace and extra compassion, and how a majority of the community live in a high level of fight or flight mode every day, not coming from a place of judgment and being able to listen with intention while still building that trust with the students and their families. And I just want to quickly play the last audio of some interview questions that I asked another teacher at KPA, Miss H. So I'm going to play that shortly, and then I'm going to stop my digital two narrative video. I'll begin now. Hello, my name is Heaven. As you know, I'm a teacher here at KPA like you, and today I'm completing an assignment for my education course. With that being said, I have been learning more about the community around here on 102nd Street and how us educators can better support students and families. So I would love to hear your perspective about the neighborhood and the experiences of young people in this area. This interview is only going to take a short amount of time. Your responses will be used for my class assignment only. Are you ready to get started? Yes. Alrighty. So, how do you think that issues like housing, transportation, or safety affect our students and their ability to succeed in school? I think when families are dealing with housing instability or transportation challenges, it can affect attendance and focus in school. If students feel unsafe or dealing with stress at home, it can make it harder for them to concentrate on learning in school. I agree. So, what role do you think schools play in supporting the community? Uh, Schools are extremely important. They are not just places for academics, they can also be a safe place where students receive emotional support, meals, mentorships, and opportunities they may not have access to outside of school. That's a really good point to make, Miss H. So, what do you think schools could do more of to support students and families here? Well, I think schools could strengthen partnerships with outside community organizations and churches, providing more mental health resources, family engagement opportunities, and after school programs could also make a big difference. On that note, what are some common issues young people in this community experience? Many young people deal with peer pressures, social media influences, and sometimes exposures to violence and instabilities uh, in their environment. They may also struggle with self confidence or feeling like opportunities are limited. I feel like that is a big problem here at KPA and just the environment in general. So, how can schools better partner with community members or organizations? Schools should invite community leaders to speak with students. They should also host family resource events and collaborate with local organizations to provide tutoring, mentorships, and support services. Yeah, I think that's really important, especially after the Black Block Party we had 2 Fridays ago. The students who were able to see other local organizations and how strong the community is outside of KPA. Thank you so much for your time today, Ms. H. Alrighty, so that concludes my two interviewees, and I want to say thank you for listening.